Swan. Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on a Friday afternoon. Again, thank you for being a part of the program as you make your way up to Tigertown. Several people in Tigertown already getting set for the Clemson Tigers. In hour number 1, I was running a little bit of a simulation from Mark Rogers TV for you, and we'll put some of that back up here in just a little bit. I need to reach out to Mark, man. That would be pretty cool. A little cool collaboration to be able to work with him on playing some of these for you guys to be able to watch. So we'll get that up for you here in just a little bit. No Clemson time. I know you guys are excited about it, hoping to hear from CT on the program, the voice of the fan, some might say. Well, he will not be a part of the program today. Tom reached out to me earlier and said, Swanny, I got to tell you, man, got a lot going on. Anthony chimes in and says, Anthony, Swanny, I want to see you and Morgan Thomas do a show together. Yeah, Morgan, man, is an interesting guy and has certainly done some really good work. We've talked in the past about, me helping him kind of guide him through some of these, the maneuvering that they've done with what they do now. And I think his program is being carried up there on one of the nights of the week with WCCP. Of course, Mark Childress also has his show on up there and get a chance to be a part of that with Mark. And Mark certainly worked with us. And then also Richmond Weaver, Rich Take on Sports, has done an unbelievable job. But we should be carrying the rebroadcasts of Mark's show for you over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. He had some trouble this past week. They got a heck of a studio, Anthony, up there in the upstate at Pronk Studios, and it is a great facility. And the job they did on Clemson's greatest games a year ago was simply phenomenal. But, I've watched some of Morgan's, he does like flight simulator stuff, and I mean, some people are probably yelling, nerd alert. But, he likes to fly. I think he may even be a pilot. And I don't think he's got his pilot's license. I think he's working on it. But, man, like when I was a kid, the simulated video games like that were just so pixelated. You weren't gonna really be able to learn or do anything with a flight simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, whatever year. Fast forward 2021, you get yourself the yoke, and you get yourself, all the monitors around you. I mean, you can pretty much put on a simulation that's probably as realistic. Well, I don't want to say this. This won't sound great, but as close to as realistic as the simulators that you can get if you were actually doing like pilot training. I mean, you could get the big monitors to go all the way around you to really give you the feel of being in the ship, so that when you're pulling back and moving forward, your equilibrium's playing games with you. That's one of the strange things when you go to, some of these, whether it's, how you can get like motion sick, but you're not in motion like that. That just kind of bizarre how you're. Blame it on your inner ear, folks. That's all I can tell you. Blame it on your inner ear. So earlier in the show, I was showing just a little bit of Clemson's game, a simulated version of Clemson's matchup with Georgia Tech. And that came from a YouTube channel called Mark Rogers TV or something like that. And so, I started thinking during the break, I'm like, man, I don't want to step all over Mark Rogers' toes with this stuff. So I'm not going to run a whole lot of it here on the show. And I will reach out to them and see if we can connect and maybe play some of those for you when we can. And certainly looking to get my hands on a new device anyway, so that a new computer, so that hopefully it'll run a little more smoothly. But we'll try to pull some of that up here in just a little bit. But for me, as a fan of simulations, dude, missing that aspect of Friday afternoons. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but for me, just I can recall being, hanging out with Lowell so many Fridays as fans are moving their way up through the Midlands, coming out of Charleston, et cetera, heading up to Clemson. And we'd have that simulation running. And it's on NCAA 2014, I think, is the last rendition of the NCAA football game that came out. And that game, what people have done, for those that don't know, if you're like, well, how are they doing it? Because they are bringing the college football game back. I honestly don't think it's going to be that great. But if you're wondering, like, how do they do it? What these guys have done is they have managed to go in and mod this game to the point of being able to run a simulation with the players, and you just put in the rosters. Now, what I was trying to do here, you can see if you're watching, we're back at the beginning, is what I really wanted to do was have a little cleaner version that ran a little bit better. And it looks like this will do it for next week. So I just don't know if I can fast forward. Oh, there we go. Now I got the fast forward. So we were about 21 minutes in. Okay, so this is about where we left you off. I think Clemson was up 21-0. So we'll play a little bit of this. Now, that looks like it's running a good bit better than what we saw or not earlier. So we'll let it go. Please let me know if you hear it. I don't want you to hear it. I want you to hear the voice of the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. So, yeah, I thought, what the heck, man? Let me throw that on there and have you guys take a peek. So I think Clemson's up 21-0 pretty early on in this ball game. And again, tomorrow for the Tigers in Death Valley, taking on Georgia Tech. Look, this feels like another one of those tune-up games. And unfortunately for maybe Clemson and the ACC, unfortunately for Clemson and the ACC, what we've seen so far this year is not going to be a conference that Clemson is going to be able to really hang its hat on. I mean, you got to just go out and you got to hope, if you're Clemson, that the league will improve over the next couple of weeks and show itself worthy. But the problem that you have is in these season openers, that wasn't the case. And then when you were playing even smaller opponents like Charlotte, you have Duke get beat. You had the Jacksonville State, Florida State. So not only did you take a hit when it came down to the league against the SEC, with Clemson losing and Miami losing and Louisville losing, but you also took a hit when it came down to smaller opponents that there's no reason that you would lose to. And so that, I think, is another issue that lingers for Clemson, in addition to the fact that they already were not playing the top tier teams in the Atlantic Division because of the setup of the schedule, where Miami, North Carolina, anybody that was deemed worthy, or whatever the terminology was going to be, anybody who would have been deemed worthy is not even on your schedule until you, quote, hopefully meet them in the ACC championship game. So South Carolina down, your big opener against Georgia, you lost. And there's not really a whole lot that you can do in between now and the end of the season other than just take care of your business. And that's it. Like, that's legitimately all Clemson can worry about. They have to be able to handle their business and forget about the rest and just win your ball games. You're still number 6 in the country. There's so much football left to be played. And if at the end of the year, you're deemed not worthy of being in the college football playoff because Georgia Tech wasn't any good and NC State wasn't any good, the opponents you play. We talk about the who. It's not who you play, it's how you play. The who you play at this point for Clemson cannot be the measuring stick for what's going to get you into the playoff. It's got to be how you play. You got to look the part. So, again, Clemson taking on Georgia Tech, and it looks like my banner is dead center on the score. So I guess I'll have to pull my banner off for a second. Clemson up 21-7 on Georgia Tech with 3 minutes and 19 seconds left in the first half of action there in this simulation. So we'll pull this down and we'll pop it back up here shortly. I don't know if there's a way. Can I do that? There we go. So we'll keep that running in the background. Hopefully you're not hearing it, and we'll come back to it in just a little bit to update you on how the Tigers are doing. 803-450-0086, text line, phone line, be a part of the program. James says, man, you got to hope for upsets in the top 5. And honestly, James, that's it. And Clemson had their opportunity in the season opener, and they didn't capitalize offensively. This past week, Kobe Pace spoke, and he said when he was asked about the running back room, he said, we like to think of ourselves as the best offense in the country. I compared Clemson yesterday to the British military during the American Revolution. Sure, they were probably going to plow through a large majority of militiamen. If those militiamen were just going to stand in your face and play old school war, line up and fire. It was when the Patriots began guerrilla warfare and changing the game, sneak attacks, things that weren't, well, that's not how war should be fought. We're like, oh, well, forget that. We're trying to win. It's war. We're trying to win. USA. And so you go back and you think about that in Clemson, and it can be, as I said yesterday, almost like, okay, we know we have the talent. We know we got great coaches. You start to check the boxes for all the things you have. And you go, well, if we can't just beat you straight up, then we just can't beat you straight up. And so instead of engaging in things that they did prior to becoming one of the powers of college football, fake punt against Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, when you're just this team that people are thinking, man, what a dream for Clemson, huh? Man, they get to the college football playoff. They better soak this in. They'll never be back. And you run the fake punt. But if I said to you, okay, well, really tell me the last time Clemson ran a trick play of significance. I think back to last season, and I can't remember one. I mean, did Clemson run a trick play against Ohio State at any point? I mean, I know this, when Alabama is getting railed by Clemson out in Northern California, in Santa Clara, Nick Saban's trying maybe the worst fake field goal in the history of mankind, but he's trying something. I mean, wasn't there an old Simpsons episode where I can't remember the kid's name. Doesn't matter what his name is. He's like trying to save the whales or whatever, and somebody says something to him, save the whales. He goes, gotta save something. Like, got to try something. And again, I mean, if you're looking at Clemson and SC State last week and then going, well, Swanny, what good's an onside kick going to do you there? I don't know, but I can say this. Maybe if you pull a rabbit out of your hat in the season opener at some point, a little shock and awe, a little surprise, a little gotcha. Who knows? Maybe Clemson is 2-0. We're not even having to talk about the ACC. The talk at that point is, dude, they're going to be undefeated and they're going into the college football playoff if they don't lose a regular season game. Now it's, well, you kind of got to watch what happens with Florida and Alabama this weekend, and you'd be watching that anyway. But Clemson relinquished the control. Now, Dabo Swinney will tell you everything they want to achieve is in front of him, and he's absolutely right. It is, and it will be the rest of the season until Grapevine, Texas maybe says it ain't. And if that's the case that is judged on Clemson by virtue of who they played, then that's all. I mean, there's nothing more you can do. My question becomes, if and when do you say, okay, we've got to get more creative? I will say this. You may not have liked Chad Morris when he was at Clemson. You may not have appreciated the offense or whatever way you felt about it. But they did some things with the downfield passing game that I feel like we haven't seen this season. And we have a kid who some people believe has one of the largest arms that's ever been in Tiger Town. Clemson trying to get some late points here before the half in our simulation. The Tigers up 21-10. They yielded a field goal on Georgia Tech's last drive. Clemson's got the ball at the 47-yard line, but they will be forced to punt as we get set to head towards halftime of the Clemson-Georgia simulation here on the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. So I will keep you updated on that. I'm not saying that you got to come out here this weekend and run a triple reverse. I'm not saying that in a couple of weeks when you're playing Boston College, I got to see the punt Rooski. I agree. When you're one of the top teams in the country, like Alabama, you got to be able to run over everybody. That's just kind of the nature of who you are. But like Alabama, when your back's a little bit against the wall, when you need a little bit of a spark, it sure doesn't hurt to have something. I mean, Nick Saban, I said it yesterday. I don't know if I'll ever forget this moment. Man, he kicked an onside kick in the national championship game and got it. And got it. I don't care that Kenyon Drake returned a kickoff or a touchdown or that O.J. Howard ran free with nobody around him, or that, maybe some of the guys on the back end of that secondary, TJ Green and J-Ron Curse, weren't as locked in as they needed to be or prepared as they needed to be, or maybe it was just an incredible scheme by Alabama. They didn't end up winning that game. What I feel certain about is that if Clemson either A, manages to field that onside kick, or B, just receives a regular kick from the Crimson Tide, that you might be talking about Dabo Swinney as a three-time national champion. I mean, that play, forget everything else that went against Clemson that day. Bad defense, Kenyon Drake's kick return. That single moment was enough for me to go back and go, you know what? Clemson probably wins that game if they don't, allow Saban that moment. And I think that Clemson's got to think more like that. Like when you have a chance to take advantage with a trick play, whatever, do it. Hit a team and surprise them.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Traffic tie-ups include I-26 westbound near the I-20 split. Also a wreck on 2 Notch at O'Neill Court. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news. The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Imagine a disease that can hurt any part of your body, like your joints, heart, kidneys. Your immune system becomes so hyperactive that it attacks instead of protects. That's lupus. You don't look sick, so no one knows you feel awful. You also may know someone who has it. Join us for Lupus Research Alliance's virtual Many One Can. Walk with us to cure lupus, October 2nd at noon. No one can cure it alone, but many one can. Visit walk.lupusresearch.org to register now.
Calling all sports fans, iHeartRadio is the exclusive audio streaming partner of the National Women's Soccer League. For the first time ever, you can listen live to the biggest league games on NWSL Radio on the iHeartRadio app. The action kicks off Saturday, September 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern when NJNY Gotham FC takes on NC Courage. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern when Chicago Red takes on Portland Thorns. To purchase tickets, visit nwslsoccer.com/tickets. Stream these games and get up-to-date highlights exclusively on NWSL Radio, only on iHeartRadio.
At Firehouse Subs, we make our subs differently because our subs can make a difference. And now it's never been easier to grab our subs to go for you or your whole crew. With Firehouse Subs Rapid Rescue to Go, you can save time when you order online at firehousesubs.com or on our app. And we'll have your subs boxed, bagged, and ready for pickup at our designated to-go areas. No lines, no waiting. Just more big, bold, craveable subs that help save lives. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs. Save more lives.
Scott here from Gamecock Traditions with some exciting news. Our second Gamecock Traditions will be opening September 17th. The new location will be at the Village in Sand Hills, across from the Center Fountain. Our layout is unique to any store we've done, but a store is only as good as the merchandise, staff, and pricing it carries, and this Gamecock Tradition is sure to please. We have worked nonstop to find products for every member of the family with pricing that won't be beat. We look forward to seeing you on September 17th. Gamecock Traditions, we don't just sell Gamecock merchandise, we're fans too.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving supports victims of drunk driving, drug driving, and underage drinking at no charge. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Don't forget, coming up tonight, it'll be UCF and No, Lowell's going to be back. I haven't done that in years. UCF and Louisville facing off. Again, the Knights are 2-0. First-year head coach Gus Malzahn there, ESPN 730. Again, we are rocking and rolling with a simulation in the background. Mark Rogers TV has the simulations, and I'm actually going to reach out to Mark as soon as we're done here and see if we can't figure out a way to have a little partnership and get these streams rocking and rolling for you. Again, if you like this show, head over and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check that out, tinyurl.com/Clemson Sports TV. That's right. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Again, Clemson and Georgia Tech tomorrow, Death Valley, 3:30 on ABC. Oh, there's a pick by the Tigers in the simulation. Indeed, indeed. Clemson turns the Yellow Jackets over. Mario Goodrich looked like a number 11, number 31 from my angle. Had a bad angle on it, Bob. Yeah, Mario Goodrich. I hate it for those announcers when they get the wrong name, especially now with Clemson, man, when you got it wide receiver. You got so many guys that look similar just in build. I mean, we had it before with T. Higgins with number 5 and Justin Ross with number 8. And you still have it in a lot of respects with Justin Ross with number 8 and now E.J. Williams with number 6. So it hadn't gotten any easier for those guys for sure. But again, just taking a quick look out at, whoa, that's not what you wanted, Swanny. No, sir. How do you get, nope. That's not it either, bud. There we go, Swanny. That's what you're looking for. So again, Clemson and Georgia Tech here in the simulation. Mark Rogers TV is the ones that do this. And that's the thing, man. They do it for all of it looks like for a lot of the teams out there. So again, we'll keep the sim rocking and rolling for you here as Clemson is up almost midway through the third quarter. I think it's 9-minute quarters on these simulations. So we'll try to keep you in tune with that. Tomorrow at noon, Miami and Michigan State. Now, I talked about the ACC earlier in the state of the league, if you will. Like, there's no doubt. I mean, that's got to be one, right? I mean, you got to be able to go out if you are the Atlantic Coast Conference and win those kind of ball games. I mean, make no mistake about it. At this point, if you are the Clemson Tigers, that's the kind of ball game that Swanny's bringing up. All right, let's see. We got some text messages coming through today. You could text us as well, 803-450-0086. That's the text line, 803-450-0086. And while the game looks squeaky clean on my end, I'm looking at the other end, not looking spectacular. So I hope that at least you can see what is taking place in our simulation. Nick in Georgia says, Swanny, I told you you can have my PS3. I don't use it. Got a tweet from Double O today. He says, I'm calling it Clemson 63, Georgia Tech 17. Yeah, I don't think 63-17 is ever going to die, is it? Clemson takes a 24-10 lead in our official simulation that we're watching here today. As for some other games that you might want to catch tomorrow afternoon, and I know many of you will be in Tiger Town and the 3:30 kickoff. If there's one thing they are not conducive for, that is the opportunity for fans to be able to take in other matchups. Even with the tailgate setup, you still miss so much because you're really so busy talking with family and friends and tailgating and making your way around and standing in line for the restroom and everything that goes on during a football Saturday across the country. For me, my preference is that night game. That night game because you can really lock in and watch all of the noon kickoffs, and you can watch a large portion of that 3:30 CBS matchup. I feel like when the games are at night, I really get a chance to see more of the college football games that are going on. Tomorrow at noon, however, Norman, Oklahoma, the Sooners will be hosting Nebraska. Again, classic old school, with Nebraska leaving to go to the Big Ten. I hate that because this is a game that I think so many people love for so long. That's a 12 o'clock kickoff on Fox, and now you got Oklahoma leaving the Big 12 to go to the SEC. So that's a game, again, at noon. Just if you are an old school football fan, you might want to drop by. Probably just going to be an absolute annihilation of the Cornhuskers. And I told you yesterday, Scott Frost is one of the head coaches at the top of the hot seat. So maybe, just maybe, if they get like 73-7, if it's that ugly, maybe Scott Frost is not working by Monday afternoon. Also, Virginia Tech, the 15th ranked Virginia Tech Hokies, are at West Virginia. Slight underdog in this one. 12 o'clock kickoff on Fox Sports 1. Another important game for the Atlantic Coast Conference, right? I mean, Virginia Tech, like we can talk about North Carolina and their loss to open the season to the Hokies. What did happen is now, though, Virginia Tech places itself with a chance to stay in the top 15, top 25, and be a top 25 opponent in the ACC championship. Just got to keep winning. This game doesn't affect them in the ACC, but a loss would certainly knock them back. And that's not what Clemson needs at this point. For any Chanticleer fans, by the way, Coastal Carolina will kick off against Buffalo at 12 o'clock on ESPN 2. So that's a look at some of the early kickoffs that'll be taking place across the country. Now, Purdue's at Notre Dame at 2:30 on NBC, and maybe not one you're overly interested in, but Purdue's got that drum, that huge drum, the world's largest drum, and Notre Dame's not letting them bring it in. They're not going to let them use the entrance that's large enough to take that drum into the stadium, which is weird because I believe Purdue has done that before, but not this year. They haven't played there in a while, but they're not going to let them bring the drum in. I think it has to do with the fact that bands aren't performing on the field or something like that. So that's one. Also, just an in-state matchup. Lots of vinegar in that relationship. We hit a break. We'll come back and update you on some more games to watch this weekend next.
The biggest stars from all genres of music will share one stage at our 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Coming to you from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
2 nights of performances you've never seen before. Streaming free on a CW app and CWTV.com. And listen on iHeartRadio tonight and tomorrow, starting at 10 p.m.
Capital One is a proud partner of the 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival, bringing great products, rewards, and services to their customers. What's in your wallet?
Plus tax tags and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. Emily in Red Bank was struggling after a recent divorce to reestablish her credit. She had a new job, but needed a safe new vehicle for her and her kids. Then she came to JT's Kia. JT was able to get her approved, and now she and her kids are safe and happy in a 2022 Kia Sportage, the SUV that starts under $25,000. Plus, it's helping to build her credit back up. See how JT can help you at JT's Kia. I-77 at Killian Road, jtskia.com.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
Way back when, Columbia was a vast dining desert, a wasteland for fast, fresh, authentic Southwestern food. Weren't nothing bundled up nice and warm in a tortilla. Columbia needed Diablos. Southwestern the way you want it, the real deal, with no shortcuts in quality and served up as fast and fresh as you want it. Diablo Southwest Grill. Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. DiabloSouthwestGrill.com.
It's Colin Cowherd. Here's what's trending from iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz. He's not 45 yet, but Tom Brady admitted this week he thinks he can play at 50. Brady's arm is still as good as it's ever been. He gets the ball out quicker than he ever has. Diet, training, branding have been managed to perfection. Tom's figured it out. Don't be a big cap hit to your team, and don't get hit. Brady hasn't let us down yet. Why would I doubt him now if he says he can play to 50? I'm Colin Cowherd. Stunning design, unmatched intelligence, and a compact ready-for-anything build. Sometimes exceptional's the rule. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLA. Member of the unrivaled SUV family. Learn more at MBUSA.com.
I'm Aditi Kinkabwala.
And I'm Mike Yam.
We love football so much, we figured let's start a podcast and call it NFL Explained, where we just answer all the crazy questions we get about football all the time.
Like how the Buffalo Bills got their name, or who even came up with the Sky Camp, because that is actually a really cool idea.
Answers to questions like that and more every Thursday. Come join us for the NFL Explained podcast.
You can listen to NFL Explained on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Ever think of light bulbs as being cool? They are if you choose energy-efficient bulbs and fixtures that have earned the government's Energy Star label. They're so hot, they're cool. Because they burn cool and last up to 10 times longer, you save money and oodles of energy. Change a light, help the environment, save some green. The solution is as close as your nearest lamp socket. Brighten your environmental future. From the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Serving Columbia at 1400. And the world on the iHeartRadio app.
It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk, Lawton Swan with you on a Friday afternoon. The simulation heading into the fourth quarter and now into the fourth quarter as the Clemson Tigers and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are facing off. Clemson up 31 to 10. Ooh, nice play there. Who made the tackle there? Didn't see the number. Did anybody get a number? I need a spotter. Yeah, spotter on this one. Uh-oh, the audio's back. It shouldn't be back. 803-450-0086. Everything looks good on my end. Not sure about that. All right. All that being said, other games this weekend, Clemson and Georgia Tech in that 3:30 slot, but the eyes of the country at 3:30 will be on Alabama as they take on Florida at 3:30. That's the CBS kickoff, and I'll be honest with you, that's the station for me as a fan of college football, that when I hear that old jingle from when Brent Musburger was on the call for CBS, that I mean, good gracious, I couldn't get enough of that little and then you get the little, and Danny Ford, blah, blah, blah. Man, it almost felt like back then, and I don't know enough about what the contracts looked like at that time, but it honestly almost felt like at that time that it was pretty much wide open. You just, whatever game CBS wanted to carry, they went out and carried it. And that was one of those Saturday memories. And I think too, where I grew up, you didn't have ESPN for a large portion of my life. So you would have only been able to watch those games that were on national TV back then. And that was a CBS game. I mean, in a lot of respects, was the game to tune in and watch. So again, that's a 3:30 start, that Alabama-Florida game in the Swamp. Same time Clemson and Georgia Tech kickoff. And here's what I know. Up in the press box tomorrow, dude, everybody will have that Florida-Alabama game on. And if Clemson starts to run away from Georgia Tech and that other game is compelling, everybody in the press box will be watching the other ball game. That's just the way it is. As a matter of fact, there's so many people watching it, you don't even have to take a device to watch it. You can simply watch the game on the person in front of you's laptop or their iPad. I can just be doing my work and look over somebody's shoulder, and there it is. There'll be 5 or 6 of them around you. Matter of fact, if you missed a replay on one, you probably look to your left and catch the replay on the other because they're not quite synced up. You know how that goes. Also at 3:30, Florida State at Wake Forest. How about the Demon Deacons being favored over the Seminoles? And I know Florida State lost last weekend to Jacksonville State. But lest we forget that Florida State was right there in overtime with Notre Dame a week ago. 2 weeks ago, I guess now. I mean, I'm not telling you Florida State's going to be some world beaters this year, but I was pretty surprised to see them as underdogs to Wake Forest this weekend. Not going to lie to you one bit. That was one of the spreads I did see that I was like, wow. I mean, can you imagine being a Florida State fan? I just talked about it earlier, the championships and all the history and the heritage that they've got and how good they were for so many years. And it has been just the struggle bus for those guys as of late. No doubt about it. Then 7:30 on ABC, Auburn at Penn State. Auburn's ranked 22nd, Penn State's 10th. James Franklin's name has been mentioned for the Southern Cal job as a potential destination. And what Franklin did at Vanderbilt was incredible. And then, I don't know that he's lived up to the expectations at Penn State. This would be a big win for the Big Ten if they can pull this off. Again, Auburn now with new head coach in tow. And I mentioned earlier Gus Malzahn and his new squad at Central Florida, UCF, will be on the air tonight, getting things rocking and rolling as Louisville and Central Florida face off at 7:30 on ESPN. But his old squad over at Auburn hoping to pull the road upset in a whiteout at Penn State. How cool would that be? Like, that's a venue, we talk about places you'd like to see Clemson play and teams you'd like to see them play. And I mentioned earlier this offseason about, when conference expansion went down around the ACC kickoff, I said, look, I know everybody's looking at West Virginia and Notre Dame, but man, if you could find a way to land Notre Dame and Penn State, that's the ticket. And then West Virginia could go right into the Big Ten, and you kind of wash your hands of that. And you had two very good, top 10 college football teams to your league if you're the ACC, right, at this point. Plus, additionally, you get Pitt's rival in the conference, which is, again, I think, valuable for those guys. There's also a top 25 matchup out west at 10:15, Arizona State taking on BYU. But if I had to throw you one other game to tune into to see, Virginia's at North Carolina. And the Tar Heels had such expectations this year. I mean, there were conversations at the ACC kickoff that were saying, hey, you know what? These guys are going to threaten Clemson. And, hey, look, they may very well still threaten Clemson. But it sure feels like the tenor of those conversations is much different today after their opening week loss to Virginia Tech than it was. Almost as if it's like, man, they're not only maybe the wheels haven't fallen off, but their wheels are wobbly. The wobbly wheel Tar Heels, you might say. Clemson's DJ Ungalale with a little QB draw into the end zone. Clemson 38-10 in the simulation. So there you go. All right, we got to hit a break. Final segment coming up. I'll give you my prediction and my thoughts on tomorrow's matchup in Death Valley when we get back here on the show that shakes the Southland. You're listening to Clemson Sports Talk. Stay with us.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. Globally, about 1,000 plants we depend on for food and products need to be pollinated by animals, including coffee, melons, chocolate, almonds, and even tequila. Help stabilize the declining honeybee population by planting native plants that they rely on for food, habitat, and nesting. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/
earth.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating, 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Radio advertising can connect your business with holiday shoppers wherever they go. Use iHeart Ad Builder to create an affordable custom radio ad right on your phone. Just click, listen, approve, then hear it on the radio. Create your customized ad today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
It's time to get your home insanely clean. Listen, Zero Res cleans like no other. No harsh chemicals and no sticky, soapy residue is left behind. And right now, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $119. Plus, when you mention this station, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home, but worried that closing costs could cancel out any money you'd save? Not with Cap Center's zero closing cost mortgages.
This is our 6th time using Cap Center. The quality of service was excellent, and the savings were substantial.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. This ad contains real client feedback voiced by actors. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? Cut to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Families affected by disasters urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those affected by disasters, big and small. Donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Friday afternoon. The simulation wraps up. Clemson knocks off Georgia Tech 38-10. Lynn J. Dixon out of CJ Spiller's doghouse, apparently, in the virtual world with a big 141-yard rushing performance. The Clemson takes control, wins the ball game defensively. This past week, these guys were asked about the fact that they have not given up a touchdown yet this season. And if they, were kind of cognizant of that, if that's something they had in their minds, no, not really. I mean, they understand it's out there. Is it possible? Is it possible that Clemson keeps Georgia Tech out of the end zone? Yes. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Is it likely? Probably not, honestly. I mean, I know last season they only gave up a touchdown, but I got this game very similar to our simulation. I mean, all day long, I kind of been thinking about the number that I would put on it. And, Clemson's a 30-point favorite, depending on where you look. And I think absolutely, without question, more than capable of covering the spread in this ball game. I mean, I think that Clemson offensively still has something to prove, and I have some hopes that we'll see this offense be a little bit more aggressive than they have been. I think that Georgia Tech, while we often talk about the transition offensively, defensively, they were so deficient a year ago against Clemson. And it was a different Clemson team. Nobody's saying that, but I do think that the Tigers will have their way with Georgia Tech tomorrow. And I don't think it'll really be close. Now, if Georgia Tech scores, it's not going to be like some kind of surprising, oh my gosh, how did that happen? But I don't know that they'll score more than a singular touchdown. Like I kind of feel that way about it. I mean, I think that 30, what was the final in the simulation? 38-10. I really think that's probably about spot on it. I've been leaning a little higher. I mean, I think Clemson will crack 40 points against Georgia Tech on Saturday, and I do think that the Tigers come away with a convincing victory. Again, so impressive what Brent Venables and this defense has done. But I think this weekend they will probably end up yielding a touchdown. What I will also be keeping my eye on is that rotation at running back with Lynn J. Dixon. Again, third string, doghouse, or second string behind two guys, however you want to look at it. Kind of a doghouse with CJ Spiller. The fact that everybody keeps talking about narrowing that rotation, getting Will Shipley more opportunities with the ball out of the backfield. Just thinking about, trying to get this team to become the best version of itself is absolutely the things that you have to do in order to be the team that everybody wants to talk about at the end of the season, or at least one of the top four teams. But if you are the Clemson Tigers and you're going into this matchup lacking focus, attention to detail, it'll be a lot closer than the number I'm about to give you. But if Clemson comes in locked in, Joey Ngata has already had a couple of good ball games. Would certainly like to see Ngata continue to improve and still continue to be an asset to this team offensively, especially as you begin to see DJ become more and more comfortable. Mixing Ngata, Bo Collins, EJ Williams. Clemson's got weaponry. Everybody talks about Ohio State's wideouts. But Clemson's loaded at wideout. And they got a huge arm in DJ. Once it gets in sync, as we talked about all week, like the sewing machine edition, man, Once it gets in sync, this group, I think they can really click and move the ball. But we got to see more. I want to see Clemson taking the top off of the defense. I'm going to take the Tigers walking away from Georgia Tech, 45-10. I'm hoping that we come in here and talk about like 45-6, right? Just giving up field goals and no touchdowns. That would be incredible if the defense could do that. But I think 45-10 is probably about the number. Again, thank you for hanging out with us. Appreciate everybody being a part of the show all week long. You're liking us, subscribing to us, and over on YouTube. Again, we made it a tiny URL. It's easy. tinyurl.com/Clemson Sports TV. Go over there and check that out. And pat yourselves on the back as well, because 507 subscribers. Let's go. Here we come, 1,000. Let's do it, baby. We're going for 1,000. Hit that subscribe. Take us up, up, and away. We'll be back next week again on a Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock. Be safe if you're traveling up to Tiger Town, and we will talk to you then. Full coverage on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Go check that out today. And again, if you hate typing, ClemsonRadio.com will get you there. Until next time, as always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Here's a look at the roads. We got a wreck on I-20 eastbound near the Broad River Road exit. Also an accident on I-77 northbound at the Blythewood Road exit. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's Foods.
We did it. The Buy Low at 120 Forum Drive is now a full-fledged brand spanking chicken clucking brisket rubbing veggie chopping draft pouring new Lowe's Foods. The grand opening of your local Lowe's Foods is here. Get excited.
Plus tags entitled with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. JT's Kia is paying up to $4,000 over book value for your trade. You could even get nearly what you paid for it. I can assure you this is not going to last. And when other dealers' shelves are bare, JT has the Kias you want. New 2022 Kia Telluride, Sorrentos, K5s. Credit concerns? Nobody works harder than JT to get you approved. Come get the most possible for your trade right now at JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road. JT's Kia.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape